Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Espresso on SABC3. Before the break, I mentioned something that we probably want to have sorted out before the weekend, and we want clarity on it. It's on front pages of most of our newspapers this morning, and it's definitely on Twitter. Twitter is abuzz with the news, of course, of Shrien Dewani, and it's nearly been 3 years since the alleged honeymoon killer arranged the murder on his wife. And finally, the court in the UK has allowed for the extradition of Mr. Dewani to Cape Town to stand trial. And I look at the story, and I kind of think we need to bring in the experts to give us some clarity, to give us some advice, and probably tell us what really went wrong and what happened to the story. Thank you so much for joining me and for giving us some detail on this. We need some answers. And the first question I want to ask is, what is exactly happening? It's on the front pages of the newspaper. We're all talking about the fact that he's going to stand trial in South Africa.
Well, it's been on the front pages of most newspapers throughout the world for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And in fact, in 2011, the same magistrate who made the ruling yesterday made a similar ruling, but his legal team took that ruling on appeal to the High Court. The High Court sent it back to the magistrate. He's heard evidence again, and he's now made the finding that Dewani be extradited to South Africa. But unfortunately, that's not the end of the story.
I hear this, and the Afrikaans newspaper put it very beautifully. They said, dit sloer aan, which means it's going to just keep going. How long do you think this will take before it's resolved?
Well, it's not a question will go on forever, but Mr. Dewani obviously has certain legal processes that he can follow. Further appeal to the High Court, and if that is unsuccessful, he has another chance to go to the Supreme Court, and he could in fact end up in the European Court for Human Rights. So that could be a fairly lengthy process which could take some years.
We're all very careful around it because this is not the first time that a situation like this happens in South Africa. This is the first time that it's publicly been caught, you know, in time almost. So we look at the situation and we're almost going, yeah, justice should be done, you know, he did it to us. We all feel, you know. Do you think that most South Africans, and especially the legal system, do we feel tricked?
Well, I don't think it's a question of being tricked. Again, he has to be presumed innocent. South Africa has a constitution, and that's one of the most important factors listed in our constitution. Every accused who appears in any court in South Africa is presumed to be innocent. So people should be careful of prejudging the whole matter.
Right.
Some of the co-accused have already been found guilty, and they've been sentenced to various periods of imprisonment, some in fact fairly lengthy periods, one of them up to 25 years. So the case is a long way still to go, and I think the public must be very careful to prejudge the whole issue before evidence has been led in court against Mr. Dewani.
This plays off like a movie almost, you know. You look at it and you think, wow, it would make a great story, you know, because it's based on a real occurrence, it's based on a real story. Would he be represented by a South African attorney if he had to be heard here?
Yes, look, he may very well bring his English legal team to South Africa, and I assume he would, because they've got all the background knowledge. They've been dealing with the matter, certainly the extradition aspect of it for a couple of years. But they wouldn't have the right to appear in a South African court. So a South African lawyer would, or a team of South African lawyers, would be called upon to represent him, and that will obviously be a decision that he will make as to who he's going to appoint. What
lies ahead for this trial? I mean, what can we expect?
Well, I think with regard to the appeal process, one can still expect a fairly lengthy period of time before that is concluded. The whole issue goes about Mr. Dewani's ability to stand trial. He has certain psychiatric issues, and those must be resolved.
Africa's reputation, I mean, sure. Do we look at this now and go, it's okay? It's, sure, you know, we're okay. Africa's reputation in this?
Well, I think, you know, the world has crime. It's not just South Africa. I mean, one travels abroad and the rest of the world say, well, South Africa is so bad. But if you go to New York, London, Rome, wherever, you know, crime is pretty rife in all of those cities. I think we have a good legal system. It's just taking time, but I think the public must realize that cases do take time. And every accused has a right to challenge the evidence. And I must be very cautious about saying, well, Mr. Dewani is guilty before we know the evidence, and we don't know that yet, not in detail anyway.
Okay. William, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he makes it feel better, huh? Just, okay. Well, that's it from us on this side. What's happening on the other side?